So the first one of my easiest plants, and I barely ever fuss around this plant, is my Ficus elastica, the variegated one. She is a stunning plant, and I've had this plant for a year and a half, I would say, and I absolutely adore her. I'll probably put some B-roll in just so that you can have a closer look at the leaves and stuff. But all the plants that I'm going to show you are drought tolerant. Sorry, I should have said. And what I mean by drought tolerant is that you won't have to water them very often. So it's just perfect. Let me just start again. Well, hello, it's me, Vanessa Lee. Thanks for popping in. Today I'm going to get straight into the video because I do need to get to my day job. So I'm going to be talking about some of my easiest plants that I've had for quite some time, and I want to share those with you. These plants are perfect for beginners, lazy people like myself. And when I mean lazy, I mean I forget to water my plants. So they work perfectly with me. We get on really well. And then for people that are just really busy and are traveling a lot or those kind of situations, these plants are going to be perfect. So I'm going to start with the sun lovers, the ones that actually will need high light. And during the winter, I use plant lights to achieve that goal. I've got several plants that I want to show you. Some are sun lovers. I've got 3 that are sun lovers. I have, I think, 2 that are mid, and then 3 that are low. I think that is right. There's 8 altogether. And if you stay until the end, I'm also going to add 2 other plants that I actually want to purchase, that I would love to have in my collection. And both of those can tolerate low light. Okay, let's get into the first plant. So the first one would be my Ficus elastica, and I absolutely adore this plant. Although this one is quite small, when I bought it, it was diddy, tiny little thing. It grows quite quickly. It is a sun lover, so generally those plants will grow quite quickly, and I'm really looking forward to this one getting really statuesque, because once they get big, they can be quite a statement plant. I have another ficus that I want to show you, which is the variegated one. So they're both Ficus elastica. This is the variegated one. The one I just showed you is called Ruby, I do believe, or some people call it the Dark Knight. But yeah, I absolutely love this variegated one. I'm going to try and do some B-roll so that you can have a proper look at the leaves on this thing. So I'm probably watering this every 10 days in the summer, and then in the winter every 2 weeks. Maybe I could probably stretch that to 3 weeks. So in the winter, that's great. I can go away on holiday for 3 weeks, and these guys should be fine. Both plants are in like a chunky aeroid mix, so the water does flush through quite quickly, but I don't water on the top of my plants. The only plants that I do water on top, I'm not actually going to be showing you any of them today. Is that right? Well, actually, no, there probably are some plants that I do water on top. But with these, in the bottom of the pot, in fact, this one's probably going to be easier to get out. In the bottom of the pot, I put leca balls. I hope you can see that. And then the soil is held above the leca balls. So I'll put water in the pot that will come up just below the soil, and the leca balls will then wick the water up towards the soil, and then the plant will absorb as much water as it wants. I generally will go back at the end of the day or the following day, and if there's still water in the bottom of the pot, I'll just dump that, because they don't need to be like sopping wet. These are drought tolerant plants, and they don't particularly like to be moist for too long. So they actually like going through a stage of having no water, and it's best to wait until the soil is bone dry, and then you'll achieve fabulous growth, fabulous healthy growth. Wintertime, I'm not actually fertilizing. I'll fertilize like once a month because I'm keeping the temperatures cool, but they are being spoiled by the lights. Okay, so now let's move on to one other plant that I definitely need to supplement the lighting. So it's under a plant light right now. I'll probably put in some B-roll so you can see where it's living. Let me just grab it. So yeah, this is a Hoya. It's my Hoya Crimson Queen, the easiest of my Hoyas to bloom. So if you want a Hoya that blooms easily, this is a great one, and it's just a great beginner Hoya or beginner plant. I'm probably watering this one every 2 weeks currently. In the summer, I'll be doing it maybe every 10 days. It is in a no drainage pot, although I have pierced holes along the edge here. So I've got the wicker balls at the bottom, the lecker balls, excuse me, at the bottom, and then soil above. And it lives quite happily in that situation. It's just in a really basic, actually no, it's a chunky aeroid mix with some tree fern fibre. So I did kind of bougie up the soil, but to be honest, it was fine before in just a simple chunky aeroid mix. So again, you don't want the roots kind of sat in. It's not a calathea, it's not a begonia where they want moisture retention. The water does just flow through. So with this plant, I do water on the top because obviously it's not in a saucer or anything like that. There's no holes in the bottom of the pot. And yeah, it survives quite nicely like that. It's a fast grower, very easy to propagate. Didn't talk about the ficus and propagation because I haven't actually propagated a ficus, so I'm not going to cover that. But yeah, you can literally just take a cutting. Let's see, like say you were going to do a cutting here, just cut it kind of so that there's enough stem to sit in the pot. I'm not showing that very well, but there you go. And yeah, the roots will grow. It's a very, very easy plant. And actually I've had this plant for 4 or 5 years. 4 years? I've propagated loads from this plant and it's bloomed. The blooms are stunning. You must check out my Hoya blooming video. I think it's called Blooming Hoya actually, if you want to see the blooms. But yeah, a gorgeous, gorgeous plant. Easy going. You've got beautiful foliage. I absolutely love this little white halo along the edge of the plant, and the fact that some of the leaves will come out pure white. Well, they're looking kind of creamy white at the moment. Another reason why this plant really does need highlight, because obviously no green on the leaves means it's going to be difficult for it to photosynthesize, and it's probably taking most of its energy from the rest of the plant that has green leaves, that is photosynthesizing. I don't even know if that's a word, but it sounded okay. But yeah, that's that dude. Very, very happy with this baby. She's gorgeous. Yeah, a great beginner plant and a great plant if you do like flowering plants. And often flowering plants tend to need a lot of water, which is why I love my Hoyas. Okay, who is next? And I have to have a quick look at my list. Another high light plant. I've never put this plant into medium light. This is, I would consider a high light plant because I like the redness that it gets when it's getting high light. If it were to go into lower lighting, then you'd see a lot more green. This, when it gets big, is going to be a statement plant, and I'm really looking forward to it growing. But yeah, it lives under a plant light in the winter, and I do fuss her. I give it the best. I give it I give it my all with this plant, but yeah, do not overwater it. It's not gonna thank you. And yeah, it's just a really easy plant to take care of. I mean, it's kind of like a cactus almost. So those stems are holding a lot of water. And again, this one is in a drainage pot with a chunky aeroid mix. Very, very simple. And I've now had this plant for about 2 years. And I love it. It is just stunning. It's so, so cool. And these plants this plant could actually grow to the same height as me. When I bought it, it was half the size. So it has done exceptionally well. And yeah, I'm just really pleased to have it in my collection. It's just so easy peasy. Let's move on to kind of medium. Okay, let me go and grab 2 plants. I'm back with another Hoya, and this again was one of my first Hoyas, and I consider this the perfect beginner Hoya. It is a Hoya pubicalic splash, and actually I do have a cutting from this plant. Let's see if I can show you a nice splashy leaf. Here we go. Stunning. And the interesting thing about this Hoya compared to many of my other Hoyas is that it doesn't like highlight. Well, it's not that it doesn't like highlight, but you'll find, or in my experience, I've found that the splashing kind of disappears with the higher light. And when I keep it in low to medium light, I get a lot more splash on the leaves. Also, I have this one in a no drainage pot, and as you can see, I've used exactly the same method as I do with all of my plants, whether they're in drainage or no drainage. And it's also in pon. So the last one I showed you was in a chunky aeroid mix. This one is in semi-hydroponic. So I do use fertilizer when I water this plant because there's no nutritional value to pon. And yeah, it just sits in the corner. Wherever I want to put this plant, it does very well. Its newest leaves are looking fabulous, actually. I'm really pleased to see that. And I've never seen this one bloom. So for me, this plant has never bloomed, but I just love it for its jungle vibes, like the length of the leaves. It's just a nice, different type of foliage to have. And the Hoya leaves are so thick. I mean, can you hear that? They're super thick. Let's get in there. Yeah, they're really thick. And I'll show you the leaf of another plant, just so you can kind of get an idea if you've never seen a Hoya before, or if you've never seen this particular Hoya. Yeah, the leaves are really thick. I'm going to go and grab another one. In fact, I'll just leave you on the floor. The next one is actually quite big. Okay, the next plant I want to show you is my Epipremnum. My Epipremnum Marble Queen. Now there's all different types of Epipremnums. They're very similar. Oh, another name would be pothos. So there's the golden pothos, most people know about that one. There's the plain green one, which the name escapes me. And then there's this one, which is the Marble Queen. There's also a Snow Queen, which this could be. When you see like the whiteness of that leaf, kind of gives you an idea that it could be the Snow Queen. I just call it a Marble Queen, just to like save from getting into any kind of disputes. It is very, very light. This plant is just living on this moss pole. It did start in soil, and then I started growing it up a moss pole, and then I ended up chopping this plant almost in half. I've propagated it loads. The leaves began very small. They were like, I don't have the other part of the plant. Actually, no, I do. What am I saying? So yeah, I do have a little cutting. So the leaves started like this. I'm just kind of propagating this, but I don't think there's any roots at all. That's not good. There's no roots currently, but it seems to be fine. I'm sure it'll get there in the end. Now I keep mine in highlight because obviously I really like, well, not obviously, but I really like when the leaves kind of have more variegation, like more white. Excuse me, like more white to the leaves. But it could survive quite happily in low light. And this plant actually lived in the hallway. I'm going to put in some footage of my hallway actually, because we are going to be moving on to the low light plants. Now my hallway does have a southeast facing window, but there's no plant lights out there. In fact, there's no points, there's nowhere that I can plug a plant light in. So they just have to tolerate the low lighting. And I would strongly use the word tolerate, because these plants are definitely tolerating the lower lighting. So the footage that I'm showing you now was taken yesterday about 3 p.m. and you can see it's really dark. Right now it's quite gloomy. It's a very overcast day. This room is nice and bright because I've got plant lights all over the place, but the hallway is just ridiculous. And this plant I've left in the hallway for many years, well, 2-3 years. It's lived in the hallway with that type of lighting. And also the temperatures are much lower out there because there's no heating and it's in front of the front door, so it can get very cool. No lighting, and it can tolerate that and do really well. This year I've decided to bring it into the living room because I want to see how it will grow in the winter with lighting. Although I'm not kind of going crazy with heat at the moment, when I leave for work, the heating will be switched off and the room will go down as low as 15 centigrade, which is fine. All the plants can tolerate that heat. The Hoyas actually quite like it, and my anthuriums. Anyway, off topic. Let's move on to the next plant. Okay, before we go out into the hallway, I wanted to show you my Syngonium. Now, I've had this Syngonium since 2021. We're in 25, at the end of 25, so 5 years. I don't know if I did my math right, 4 or 5 years, but yeah, no, this is a stunning plant. And the fact that I've had it so long, it kind of took me a while to figure out its lighting. It kept chucking out pure white leaves, and obviously it's just not gonna be good for the plant if all the leaves are white. So I actually started putting this into medium light and it got better. And then now I don't even really put it under a plant light at all. It could live in the hallway, it has lived in the hallway. It can tolerate lower temperatures and lighting. This is the only Syngonium that I have, but there are others that can tolerate even lower lighting than this one can. But I just wanted to show you my plant, although I would suggest looking at some of the other Syngoniums. But yeah, I've not had a problem wherever I put this plant. I think it's got spider mite. Yeah, wherever I've had this plant, I've not had a problem. This one I just actually grow in pure water. So, of course, this is going to be one of my easiest because I literally I barely put, I don't know, the water doesn't disappear very often. I'm probably topping it up with a bit of water, let me think, every 2 months. And I don't actually change the water. It's in a brown bottle so it tends to stay quite fresh. But I guess I must change the water from time to time. I mean, if it looks weird, then I'll change it. But yeah, it just lives in water. It's a full hydroponic plant. When I've tried it in different substrates, like I've tried it in soil, and I couldn't figure out the watering. The watering just was maybe a little too much for me. So this is kind of a bit of a cheat, because growing it in water has been my saviour. For me, it's the reason why it has grown so well. Okay, I want to move on to, I think we've got 2 more, haven't we? How many more do we have? Yeah, just 2 more plants. Now these plants are actually living in the hallway, so let's go out there and check them out. Okay, we're out in my hallway. This is not actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm talking about the lighting. So what time is it? It's around 11 a.m. and I want to show you my Dracaenas. So I have this one. They're both Dracaena marginatas, and I've owned these since 2018, so 7 years. This one is in semi-hydroponic. I chopped it up. I just wanted to do something different when it came to the Dracaenas. Although they look stunning just standing on the floor, I quite like them elevated here. Let me get in a little closer. So yeah, you can see it's in pon. And yeah, it's living in very low lighting and very low temperatures, and doing ever so well. This one over here is in soil. So they're from the same plant. I basically just chopped up that plant and propagated it. And yeah, it's so cute. Little pom-poms. I do really love this plant, and I especially like them hanging. And then the next plant I want to show you is my Sansevieria starfish, and I have 2 of them. I've had these for about 3 years, maybe a bit longer actually, and you can see it's pupped, which is cute. So that's a separate plant that just came out of nowhere. I think I might need to change the pot. It didn't do a full star compared to this one. Also really stunning, very much a statement plant, and extremely easy to take care of. So I decided to put these into terracotta during the summer, and a lot of you guys did say to me, are you going to be watering more often now? Which is true, I am, but what I do like is that I water by soaking the whole pot into a bowl of water, so the terracotta absorbs some water as well, along with the soil. And throughout the winter I'm probably going to water these twice, so once every 3 months, because the terracotta, because it's quite cold, is also keeping that moisture in a bit longer. Obviously in the summer I'm watering them a little more often. I would say every 10 days in the summer. Now when they were in kind of like a plastic pot, I was probably doing it every 2 weeks, once a month possibly. So yeah, the terracotta definitely in the summer I do end up watering a little bit more. I do have another Sansevieria, this guy, which is my wildfin, and again you can see it's pupped so many times. And this plant can actually grow very big. The same with the Sansevieria. I mean, you can see like how tall it's getting, but that can become very big if you're giving it super high light. So yeah, these plants are tolerating low light, but most definitely would prefer to be in higher light. Yeah, this is my hallway. Yeah, as you could see, the hallway, very gloomy. I will put in some photos actually of those two plants with better lighting so that you can actually have a proper look at them. But I mean, amazing. I've had, like I said, I've had them for a while, so they're so tolerant, and they just are so well behaved, so easy to take care of. I'm obsessed with them, and they're just really quite a nice statement for my hallway. It really does make my hallway feel like it's a part of my home. Otherwise it's just literally just a space that I move from one room to the next. So it's nice that the plants can live out there, they can tolerate that lighting. So before I go, I did mention two plants in the beginning of this video that I would like to have in my collection. One of them I've actually owned many of them in the past. When I first got into plants, I had quite a few philodendron, scandens. Yeah, I had quite a few philodendron scandens, and I was like literally collecting them. I had the heartleaf, which is the plain green, and that one out of all of them can tolerate low lighting. I had the lemon lime. I'll actually put in some photos or some footage if I can find something. The lemon lime was my all-time favourite. Oh, she was just gorgeous, and as you can see, quite a big plant. So yeah, I would love to get that plant again. I also had the philodendron Brazil. I had the philodendron micans. I wouldn't mind getting that one again actually, because that can go into medium to low light. Although I don't have in the summer many areas in my home that are medium to low light. But anyway, it survived quite nicely. It was a bit pesty, but maybe if I were to get another one, maybe I'll do better. And then what was the other one? There was one other that I had. I can't remember, but yeah, the philodendron scandens can definitely tolerate low lighting. My philodendron lemon lime did used to live in the hallway, and actually that's kind of how it croaked it, to be honest. Well, firstly I put it in pon, which I don't know what I was thinking. It does not need to be in pon. And I put it in like this weird glass vessel that wasn't suitable for it. And the temperature, I think, was a little too cold for the philodendrons. I think the philodendrons, need to be around 15 centigrade. So for that reason, yeah, I probably wouldn't put it in the hallway. But I definitely do want to get another philodendron lemon lime in particular. She is a beauty. And then the second plant that I want to talk about is a syngonium. Now, I can't remember how to pronounce this. I'll probably just slap it up. Let's give it a go and see if I can say it. Erythrophyllum. Now, this plant I did see quite often in my, well, not often, every now and then it would pop up in the plant shop that I worked at. And every time I said I was going to buy it, but then I'd end up buying a bunch of other plants, and that one would get left behind. And I don't know why, because it's beautiful. It's got that dark burgundy leaf. I'll put in some photos. And then on the opposite side of the leaf, it's just a lighter shade of red. Oh, what a beauty. I mean, can you imagine? I do like to have a little pop of colour, but somewhere around here with one hanging would be stunning. Maybe I could put it on the top of the shelf. But that is a plant that year after year I see them and I want one. And I don't know what happens. I just don't buy one, but I've got a feeling that when I do get one, it's going to become one of my favourites very quickly. So yeah, those are the last two plants. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Let me know actually, do you own either of those plants? And if you've got any tips and tricks, if you have any tips for all of us, do leave that in the comments down below. And also with the plants that I showed you earlier, do let me know if you have the same experience when it comes to lighting with those plants, because I have had plants in the past where every bit of information will say that, for instance, a spider plant likes low light. I don't believe that's true. I've had 2 spider plants and both of them needed highlights. In fact, both of them really wanted the prime location, and that's the reason why I don't really have them. They grew to a huge size, but when I gave them low light, they did very little. Also, they're very thirsty, so yeah. Not quite the plant for me. So yeah, let me know, do you agree? Do you own any of these plants? Or if you are a beginner, out of the plants that I showed you, what one has tempted you to have a quick look online or pop to your local shop? Most of the plants actually that I did show you, you can find in like, you know, like your local B&Q, or if you're in the States, like those big box stores, I think you can find most of them. Maybe the Hoyas, but even, yeah, I think you could probably find the Hoyas. Here in the UK, you don't find Hoyas in places like B&Q. Sometimes in IKEA, they'll have the Australis, Hoya Australis, just the green one. I think that's the only Hoya I've ever seen in IKEA here in the UK. But yeah, they're fairly common plants, at least here in the UK. You can find these plants fairly easily. The Syngoniums, yeah, you're going to have to search a little bit more. The Euphorbia, you might have to do a little hunting. The Sansevieras, actually, you're not going to find in B&Q. You're probably going to have to shop around. I recently went to, where was it actually? It was Selfridges. I did do a video. Did I do a short or did I? I'll put a card up. But yeah, I went into Selfridges and they have a little plant shop in there, and they had the starfish, which just blew my mind. I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, it's a hell of a plant. It's a statement plant. I mean, that plant could grow to this kind of scale, you know. If I lived somewhere where it was super sunny all year round, like Miami or the Mauritius or somewhere like that, I would definitely be able to grow that outside, probably to quite a size. Yeah, that plant, amazing, and so tolerant of so many different issues, terrible lighting, and also the very low temperatures. Okay, I'm going to stop waffling on because I do need to get to work, and I'm not going to go like this. I still need to get dressed and get ready for work. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out, and I do hope that you enjoyed the video. Do give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe, all those things, put on your notification bell, and I will see you here again very, very soon. Until then, sending lots of love and light. All right, bye.